Hey, what's going on, YouTubers? That's Atizi here. Just wanting to bring you guys another video. It's been a very long time since I've done an overview video, and what I have here is a Smith & Wesson M&P. Forgive me if I miss anything. I like to just throw these videos together on the fly and post them up. So if you guys feel like I missed something, please feel free to put it in the comments. But what I picked up here was a Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0. If you guys have been following me for a long time, you guys know that Smith & Wesson M&P series of pistols was actually the first series of pistols that I own. I picked up a Smith & Wesson M&P 40, which was my first gun about 10 years ago. And I absolutely loved that gun. And I eventually went on to purchase a Smith & Wesson M&P 9 and a Smith & Wesson M&P 45 midsize, which I absolutely love those guns. I then switched over to Glock, and I was running Glocks for a very long time, for about 4 or 5 years. Even though I was still carrying Smith & Wesson M&Ps, I had one, but I wasn't shooting it, so I ended up getting rid of it. But recently, Smith & Wesson, at the beginning of the year, came out with the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0s. And so when I saw these, I absolutely had to have one. One of the first things that I noticed when I picked this gun up was the trigger. Just doing some dry fire practice, I noticed that the trigger had a much better reset. It was audible, very short, and still very crisp. As you know, the M&P 1.0 is what I call them, their first generation. The trigger was not good at all. A lot of people did not like the trigger. I didn't have any issues with it, but I would have preferred a more audible and tactile reset. And Smith & Wesson definitely put that into this pistol. So one thing I will say is that on the initial shot, you do have a lot of take up. So the gun is unloaded. I've already checked before I did the video, but I'm going to show you guys here that you do have a lot of take up on that initial shot. So you've also got that hinged trigger shoe. I know a lot of people don't care for that. Doesn't really bother me much. I'm used to it. Just in shooting guns in general, they typically have a curved trigger. Maybe not so much the hinged trigger, but it doesn't really bother me. So you do have that initial take up. I'll show you here. You've got a nice little wall that you find, and once you find that wall, you know that the trigger is about to break. There's not a whole lot of mush or anything like that in it, in my opinion anyway. But the trigger will then break, and then you have a rack slide, keep the trigger pulled back. But then you've got a very nice reset. And this is one of the things I like about this firearm, is the reset. So I'll just let it out here, and there's your reset, and you're ready to go again. You can also hear it, and you can also feel it in the finger. So Smith & Wesson definitely made an improvement in the trigger in the 2.0 over the 1.0. As far as accuracy is concerned, I know there's a lot of issues with Smith & Wessons out there as far as their barrel lockup and things like that. Initially, their lockup was, some were saying that the gun was unlocking too early, and the barrel was actually beginning to tilt before the bullet actually left the barrel, and that was causing some accuracy issues. Apex has some good videos on it. Me personally, I never found it to be an issue. My Smith & Wesson, the first one I had, 9mm, was dead balls accurate. We were taking that gun out to 100 yards, and I was able to hit targets with ease. And I'll say that with ease with an asterisk, because I am not the greatest shooter in the world. But I found myself being able to hit a target at that distance pretty easy. And I don't want to make it sound like, you know, I'm all operator as fuck or anything like that, but I didn't have any issues as far as the accuracy was concerned. And the same thing in taking classes with that firearm. It was just a very accurate firearm. So I never had any issues out of any of the M&Ps that I own. I know some people complained about the barrel lockup and things like that. And now as far as accuracy goes with this firearm, it's the same thing. Very easy to get follow-up shots, holding really tight groupings with this firearm. Apex does make a barrel for this that supposedly still fix some issues, but once again, I haven't had any issues. So would I be switching over to an Apex barrel or something like that? Not currently. And that also goes with the trigger. More than likely, this trigger will stay in this gun. The sights are pretty much the exact same as they were on the M&P 1.0 series, the Dovetail. I want to call these a Novak style sight. I like these a whole lot. Typically, I will paint out the white dots in here because I like blacked out sights, and instead of switching them out, I will just paint them black with a painter's pen. Also, the grip here, I really do like the grip a whole lot. I didn't have any problems with the initial grip on the Smith & Wesson M&Ps, although I would stipple them to add that grip. And I would typically do it in a pattern like this. It comes on the 2.0. Very fine grit. As far as how it feels in the hand, it's real grippy, and it's not going to, your hand's not going, or the grip is not going to slide around in your hand. So I really do like what they did as far as the grip and the stippling style that they used. I also really like the mag release, and this was probably where my biggest issue was with the M&Ps. They used a polymer mag release in their previous versions of the M&P. And what I would find is that this mag release would stick sometimes. So I'd press it in, and it felt like it would stick for just a hair and then release. That was something I didn't care for. And so in these are steel. This is a steel mag release, and it feels real smooth and easy to push. So that's something that I like that they've changed. They've also added, I'll go ahead and call it a steel skeleton, and it's basically embedded in the polymer. They've extended it out a little bit more to help with rigidity and accuracy when it comes to the frame flexing or anything like that. They've cut off the beaver tail. They no longer use that 1911 style beaver tail that they had on here. And I know a lot of people didn't care for that. Didn't really bother me much because I get a very high grip anyway. And I also noticed that I don't get any slide bite or anything like that. Now with Glocks, I do get that slide bite, and I like the fact that the Gen 4s, I hadn't had a chance to pick up the Gen 5 yet, but the Gen 4s had the back strap, which helped in aiding so that you couldn't get that slide bite. It actually had a beaver tail. So I'd actually run it on Glocks, but on the M&Ps, I feel like the back part here is thick enough so the slide won't catch the webbing of my hand. Another thing I don't really care for is the slide lock. On the 2.0s, I really don't care for these. Now they've had a lot of issues with the Gen 1 as far as the inserting a magazine. It'll actually push that up and release the slide, and it would chamber around. That was one feature that I actually liked about the M&P. I know a lot of people didn't care for that and kind of called it a problem. It was something I actually liked and didn't have a problem with. So I don't care for the mag release, or the slide release as much. It is stiffer, so I'm pulling the slide back. Trying to actuate that can be a bit of a problem. It does work, but from what I've been told, Smith & Wessons are designed to come from over the top. So in your mag release, and you're switching out magazines or doing a speed reload, Smith & Wesson advises that you come over the top to release the slide. Which does work, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. You can and I'll show you guys here. It works better if you're a right-handed shooter. You can't actuate that with the thumb, so you can come over. I don't know if it's going to catch it, but it will release the slide. Now, if you're a lefty, that's where you may have some issues. On the right-hand side of the firearm, actually trying to release that can be a hassle. It's a lot stiffer on this side than it is on this side, and for whatever reason, I don't know. I guess it's just something in the design. It can be done, but you really have to push down to get it to release. And I'm using a lot of force there in my thumb to actually get it to push down. It will work, and I think over time, after using it and just kind of wearing it in a little bit, it'll loosen up and be a whole lot better. But for right now, it's pretty tight. And that's about it, guys. If you've got any questions or comments about this firearm, please feel free to leave them below. I know there's several videos out there already on the Smith & Wesson M&P. So I'll try and answer the questions as best I can. But again, there's several videos out there on this pistol. If I can't find an answer for you, then what I'll do is I'll actually look up some of the videos and try and point you in the right direction. Now, Smith & Wesson is about to release a 19 size version of this firearm. This firearm actually holds 17 rounds. Smith & Wesson is about to release one that holds 15 rounds, and instead of a 4.25 inch barrel, they're going to be coming out with one that is 4 inches. So it's going to be about the same size as a Glock 19. I will definitely be getting my hands on one of those. After purchasing the version 1 of the M&P, it was one thing that I called for. I absolutely love Glock 19s, but I shoot M&Ps better, and I always said I would hope that Smith & Wesson would release a 19 sized M&P. So as soon as I can get my hands on one of those, I'm definitely going to be doing that. But again, thank you guys for watching. I apologize. I know I haven't done a review or an overview video in a very long time, and I hope to be bringing you guys some more information on firearms and things like that. I know really basically all I've been posting up is slow-mo vids and short videos at the range, but hopefully I can start doing more videos like this, getting you guys involved, asking questions, and helping those that need help. So I appreciate it, guys. I hope you're having a great day. Please be safe, kiss your families, and have a good one. Peace.